Hello, hello, everyone. Carrie Heaps here. Today, our class, we are talking about um, publishing and about publishing, well, book publishing resources, I should say. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you are catching the replay here, definitely, if you have any questions, reply back to the email. We are also putting together a list of resources for podcasting and also for publishing resources. So it'll just be a document where you can click on the link and we'll have that we'll email it to you, but we'll also have it in the back-end content on the site as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So for those of you, maybe you've written a book or you're in the process of writing it and you're pretty much at this point, you have the book done, you maybe have a title, you're maybe doing edits and so forth, but you have the bulk of it done. Now we have another class on writing a book, taking your platform, putting it on paper. That's not what this is. This is more about book publishing resources. So today we're going to cover creating a book cover, especially one that gets noticed, self-publishing options, and ISBN and EAN numbers, what they are, why you need them. So we will be talking about that as well. So just to kind of share with you too, because most of us anymore, we self-publish. Those of you who are looking for a publisher or a book agent, it's not that it's a bad idea, it just does prolong the process. And everyone seems to think that that's going to be the way to go to make bigger money. Usually with a book publisher and also with the bigger publishing houses and also with a lot of book agents, they want to see a massive social media following, all of the things that we teach you how to do here in Platform to Profit, because they want to, part of it is you doing the work. It's not all falling back on them. Everyone seems to think that a publisher or an agent's going to do all that for you, and they don't. You're the one that has to go out and promote the book. That's really when the real work starts, is once that book is written. So I want to share a couple of things with you. I grabbed a copy of this. This is actually my very first book that I did. I actually forget about this book, and that sounds terrible, but I have a copy. I ran across it the other day, but I wrote this when I first started my business in 2005. And at the time, I was doing networking events for women in business. I was helping people, in their marketing phases of their business. So it just stood to reason I should write something. So this is something I did with Lulu.com. Lulu, I think, is still around. I think they still do self-publishing, but by far, CreateSpace and Amazon Kindle is the best place to do it and has, more options for you. But just to kind of give you an idea, this is me. I didn't know what I was doing. I wrote this book and I named it Carrie's Network Tips. And TIPS stood for Techniques, Ideas, Plans, and Scripts. And it's a paperback book, very small. I had my picture on the front and our company logo at the time, because we were doing networking events for women. And as you can see, which again, didn't know what I was doing, the pages here, the font is so small. I do get really, there's actually, I think, someone who bought some of these, whatever was left over, and they're selling them for like $50 a piece on Amazon. And anyway, more power to them. But like I said, this is something that, when I did this, like I said, the page margins were really bad. The font is really small. Content's great. But what wound up happening was I took this book and a friend of mine helped me turn it into, we pulled from different resources from it. I redid it. And they said, actually, this should be 3 mini books. And we had our Create Your Own Media series, Create Your Own Podcasting, Create Your Own Publication, and Create Your Own Publicity, all pulled from this book. So I just wanted to kind of show you that to get things out there, it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. And I think I paid, when I set my pricing and everything for this, like I said, this is just awful. Look at this now. I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? Anyway, I think I priced it at like $6. I got $2 per copy or something. I don't remember. But Lulu was very similar to what CreateSpace which is now Kindle, Amazon, just with a lot less options. So I actually did this, and again, not perfect, but I did get good reviews on my book. Now, a colleague of mine, she used to be a client, Dr. Tina Hollis. I'll just kind of show you. She gave me a copy of her book. This is her book. So I wanted to kind of show you too, just like there's so many different options out there. Tina self-published as well. Hers is a paperback. This is her on the back. And the name of her title is Sharpen Your Positive Edge, Shifting Your Thoughts for More Positivity and Success. Amazing book cover. Now with her, I mean, clearly, and with you too, which book would you pick? I mean, clearly there's a no-brainer. You want to have something eye-catching. This is why I wanted to kind of share this with you. But Tina did self-publish. Her book is on Amazon, and it is an amazing book. I started reading it, and just really good stuff. Very positive lady. So basically with hers, like I said, you can see this is 100 and with the covers and everything, this is about 186 pages. So you can have, a paperback. She could have easily done this in a hardcover if she wanted. Those are choices that are really up to you as the author. And she has her bio, a little picture on the back, but again, just an amazing cover. You want something that pops. You want something that has some color in it, like what she did here, and really resonates. The photo should really resonate with what you're trying to say. Sharpen your positive edge. So this is just kind of an example of a really, really cool cover that, if people were walking by, I like to use the bookstore in the airport. If they're walking by Barnes and Noble, or they're walking by Joe Muggs or whatever, and you want them to stop because, wow, what is that? They see, there's different colors. You want things that are going to really stand out. And like I said, there's different ways you can do this, but I just wanted to kind of give you an example of why your cover is so important. Now, there's tons of people out there who will design your book cover for you and make them ready for upload to Amazon Kindle when you self-publish, or you can pick one of their templates and do it yourself. I've shared before with mine, the Create Your Own Media series. I used different images and then I did the design. I wanted all three of them to kind of look similar, but they're different colors. So I think one is like a golden amber color, one is a blue color, and I think the other one is green, if I'm not mistaken, for the podcasting one. So, and they're short. They're probably about this size, maybe, but they're formulated a little bit differently. So about 70 pages each. So they're considered a mini book. But you want to have something that's eye-catching. You want people to be like, wow, what is that? And it's the same thing too with your title. Your title should pop. Like I have Create Your Own Media series, Create Your Own Podcasting. My other book, which is actually back under revision, Pitch Like a Bitch, which is kind of a controversial type title, but it does get people's attention. And the cover is amazing too. I have it's a half of a woman, it's her legs hanging off of the sofa with red heels and a red dress on, so very eye-catching. But it's top 10 tips to pitch like a pro. But the title, again, I mean, I've had some people are like, oh, you should change the title, which I'm not going to, because the whole premise is to let people know, you've got to get interviewed, you need to get people's attention. And, sometimes too, when you get interviewed, live interviews, I've been called much worse. You have people who call in and they can be, they're opinionated and they express their opinion in various ways. And you got to have tough skin to deal with that. So you have to use something that's comfortable for you, because it's your book, it's your words, your writing, you want to get it to the right audience. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is to make sure that it's in a good alignment with what you're trying to portray. So there's several ways you can do it. I like the Amazon Kindle option because they have all the specs there. They can walk you through what to do. You can get someone else to do it, but the way that they have everything set up, you can download those documents in Publisher and Word and just insert where you need to and design how you like to design. Another reason I love Amazon Kindle is because If you want to get your book out into various outlets, not just on Amazon, but maybe Barnes and Noble, into the library, which I recommend you do, they have ways that can be done. Mostly through what's called an EAN number, or actually, as we call it here in the States, a barcode number. So they're going to be able to print that for you on your book, and you need that to be in the library. Okay. So I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but you definitely want to, even if you, and I've done this before where I've written a book and I'll redo the cover. I'll pull it and I redo the cover because another idea popped up into my head about what it should look like and who I want to attract. Boring covers don't really attract anything. You want to make sure it's eye-catching title, whether it gets somebody like, whoa, what? You're getting their attention, and that's what you need to do. Because again, the real work starts when you have to start marketing your book. So take some time, figure out how you want your cover to look. And, even if you just do one like what I did here with Carrie's Network Tips, just to get it out there, you can always pull it later and redo the cover. But get moving, put action behind it. So I want to talk for a moment about the self-publishing options. So clearly, again, Amazon hands down is the best one. There's others. I think Lulu is still in business, but they were not user-friendly to work with. I had to get someone to help me with the dimensions with this cover. And you just really want to make sure that there's so many other options. Now, what's great too, like I said, CreateSpace, your book, you can do it in audio and in print, because they can sell both. You get to pick and choose. They walk you through the process. Do you want your book to be, and they'll give you the options based on how many page numbers you have, what size you want it. Do you want it this size? Do you want it 8x10, like a bigger, like a journal type thing? What kind of binding do you want? Do you want the gummed, what they call gummed binding here? Do you want, like if it's a journal, like a wire binding? Do you want it stapled? Like mine was stapled because it wasn't that big. Or they'll do saddle stitch, there's the staples. You get to pick all of that. They give you the options. They'll have you upload your cover. You upload your book as a PDF according to their specs. And what happens is they walk you through the process. You want to get an ISBN number. They'll do that for you. You want to make sure that you have an EAN. That is something you do have to pay for. I don't know how expensive it is, maybe $100, but you want that too because you want to get into the libraries, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So make sure that you get all of that, get all of that done on Amazon at one time, and then it's going to have you set the price of your book. My recommendation is if it's a hardback, make sure you're making $10 a copy. If it's paperback, at least $5. My reasoning behind that, because when you type in how much you want to make, they set the book price. So like my Create Your Own Media series, I think it's $9.95 for a copy. I get $5 of that. $4.95 is their fee plus whatever it costs to print it, ship it, and send it out there, or put it in the Kindle format, whatever they're doing. So they send me a check. Once it gets to a certain amount, it's deposited into my account. It's not a physical check, but they deposit that in my account. And they have everything up there. People can leave reviews. You create your own Amazon author page, which will have your picture, a link to your website, all of the books that you have written. So people just type in your name. They can see all of the things that you've done. They can learn more about you. It ranks high in the search engines. There's every reason in the world to do it, and there's no reason not to. So even if you did want to wait out for a publisher, still have something up there, be able to show them something, your following and so forth. So make sure that you use Amazon Kindle. And they can also, like I said, they sell all over the world, which is great. People can buy your books in bulk if they want to. And I've had people who've done that and I never knew it. I just got a big check one month and I thought, I wonder what that's from. I guess people are buying the book. I had a speaking engagement where they actually bought multiple copies. They didn't tell me, which is fine. They didn't have to, but that's where that came from. So you want to have that option. A lot of times too, meeting planners, they want to make sure you're a published author. 99% of the time, that's who they like to work with. And they want to link to your Amazon page. So go ahead and get one, get it out there. That is my main thing to, because that way you can get it. Barnes and Noble works with Amazon. So once you're published on Amazon, you can pay an upgrade and get your book put into the Barnes and Noble bookstores. That's huge. Usually they're selling it online, the Barnes and Noble bookstore online. But if it does well there, then they'll take it, they'll consider putting it in the actual stores, which is even better. Okay. So you want to make sure that you multiply your options with this and that people are able to get a hold of what you have. And it's easy for them. Amazon's doing all that. Now you can also bulk order your own books. I don't really recommend doing that. Like if you want to have 10 or 15 on hand, maybe to autograph or to hand out, fine. But the reason you don't really want to handle that process yourself is because it's time consuming and it's expensive. Let Amazon handle that, where you don't even have to do that. Okay. So definitely Amazon as a self-publishing option. Now, your ISBN number, why you want to get your book in the library. So when you publish with Amazon, they are going to ask you, do you want an ISBN number? You click yes, they issue you one. And the EAN number, like I said, is the barcode that you're going to find. That's to scan it when it's in the store. When it's online, they use this system in the library as well. So the reason you want that is because once it starts, it's out there, it's circulating. You want to put yourself for the book marketing part of this to be able to contact your local libraries and say, hey, I just self-published. I have some extra copies. Here's my book, my EAN or barcode number, EAN number. Let them look it up. They can coordinate for you to have a book signing at the library. The libraries have a budget to advertise this, where other people will come to meet you as the author. You could read a chapter, like if you did a children's book, they'll bring the kids in. You can read a chapter of your book. It's a great publicity thing. You get booked at the library, you can do a press release and send it to the local media. Hey, I will, local author will be blah, blah, blah at whatever library, reading some of her book. And, radio stations will pick it up. So it is a great way to grow your book. Okay. And people think, well, if it's in the library, people, you got to remember they only have one copy. So if somebody has it out, they have to, they can go to the store and buy another one. It's just a much easier way for you to be able to get your book out there, to be able to get more people to read about it, to, have more opportunities. Because if you don't have that EAN number, it's going to be hard to get into the libraries to do a book signing. Same thing too with independent bookstores. And you want to be able to do those, like that first 6 months, book as many of those as you can, because that is going to get the word out. People will buy your book. People always think, oh, book signings. I've had a book signing before and I was amazed. I was like, these people are buying my book. And it wasn't really people that I thought would benefit from it. But I kept that to myself. But I thought, well, maybe they're buying it for a friend. You have to just kind of be open-minded. So it was really interesting. And then that way too, you can have so many to, hand out, bring a Sharpie with you, autograph the inside, figure out what you want to say. Like my tagline has always been, wishing you continued success, and I sign my name. Wishing you continued success, Carrie. But you might want to come up with your own, always thinking of you, believe in your dreams, whatever you want to put. Think of how you want to write your signature. When you do these kind of things, when you mentally think about this, it helps you with this process of getting through all of the minutia of marketing your book, but also too, it makes things come to fruition. Like if you take a Sharpie, I know I have one here. Oh, here. So if you take a Sharpie pen and you're like, okay, how am I going to sign my book? It's inside, front cover. How do I want to sign my name? What do I want to say? And maybe even just do it as like a sample book, or write it out on a piece of paper of like how you're going to be writing your name, how you're going to autograph it, because that helps get you into a new mindset mentally, where you're you want to get that done. You want your book to be signed. You want people to have copies of it. What do you want to say to them? Because you're not going to be able to talk one-on-one with all of them, but what would you say one-on-one if you had the time to take a photo and talk with them? And like I said, sometimes there's time to do this, sometimes there isn't. So what do you want to say to them? What message do you want to leave them with? And think about that. Think about how, and when you start thinking about that in your head, yeah, this is what I'm going to say when I sign my books, it comes to fruition a lot quicker. Okay. So for those of you who might be struggling in the sales part of it, these are things that you need to be doing. But definitely have, get both of those, and if you've already self-published with Amazon, you can go back and change it. You can add that EAN. And again, I think this is an upgrade you have to pay for, but it's worth it. You want to be, if you have that, you're in the libraries, people are talking about your book, people are buying it from Amazon, it has that organic growth. You want companies like Barnes and Noble, Joe Muggs to be like, oh, here's, because they're able to track that through that EAN number. You want them to say, hey, this is a book we need to consider ordering printed copies of to have them in our bookstore. That's what you want. It's just like one of my clients, that is what her vision. She wants to see her book in Barnes and Noble in the airport, when she's walking through there, or if somebody else walks through there to say, hey, I saw your book and I picked up a copy. That's what you want. You want to visualize where you see this going. Because always remember this, the whole premise of doing this with your platform, taking your platform and putting it on paper, getting these books written, whether it's a mini book or it's a much bigger book, whatever, you're done writing when you're done writing. The only person who determines that is you. But once you have it done, you get it published. Once it's out there, it can help more people. Oh, never forget that. The whole goal here is to get your message in front of more people. And this is such an amazing way to do it, because you never know who might attend the book signing, who might be at the library that day, who might be at that event, who sees your book and is like, oh, let me go check that out, that really needs to hear your message, or they know someone who needs to hear it. But if you are not there, if you don't create this information, nobody gets it. And your message, it stays with you. It stays with your small group. That's why I'm so adamant with each of you, getting outside of the pageant industry, marketing outside of the pageant industry, because those are the people who need to hear your message. Even if you're wanting to work with pageant contestants, same thing with me. I work with pageant contestants, but I'm helping them get into other markets. And it's the same thing too. There's, I do it as well with myself as a speaker. A lot of people are like, why do you speak to veterinarians? Why do you speak to like construction people? You're not in that industry. No, but I have a strong message that they need to hear that's going to help them. So it doesn't really matter what industry they're in. I can still help them with my message. But if I don't get out there and promote that, everybody misses out. And think of all the people that you weren't able to help because they didn't hear you. There's an old, I don't think it's a saying, but it's maybe it's a fable, but it's about someone who goes out in the middle of the woods and they start yelling and yelling and yelling, and nobody ever comes, nobody hears them, and they come back into the town, to the town where they live. Why didn't anybody come and help me? Why didn't you hear me? No one heard them, because they're basically, they were by themselves. They're talking to themselves. And when you need help, when you shout, you need to be doing it with other people, not to yourself, not in your room, not in your office, not in your head. It needs to get out. It needs to come out of your mouth. It needs to go on paper, and it needs to get distributed. Anyway, I hope this helps you. Again, if you have any questions, please respond back to the email where this recording is sent out. And I hope that you can attend class next time. As always, I am wishing all of you continued success.